Hello, Steve here. Welcome to Real Health. Who'd have thought health is about what we're eating? Join me on my quest to disseminate my go-to health regimen, the Health 44, my clumsy branding of eliminating 4 classes of food, introducing 4 classes of micronutrients. Bingo, bongo, health sorted. So thank you for your interest. Let's do this. Welcome again. So today, Zone 2 Cardio. I was going to call it Zone 2 Cardio BS, critique, challenge. What I call it is what you clicked on, so I'm still thinking. So basically, as you get the summary already, is that I think it is BS, our fixation on Zone 2 Cardio for longevity. Longevity tends to, I'm not sure why it's getting this exposure, fixation. It usually comes on in the 40 and 50 plus age category of influencers that are out there. And influencers have followers of the 40 and 50-year-old cohort. And somehow we think that we double down. The whole exercise, eating less, it feels that it's giving us benefit. Therefore, it is giving us benefit, and therefore we do research to double down further on our fixation. You know, when we do research, we would like to get our research to give us positive results in the direction we want. And because diet and exercise equals weight loss, and weight loss, keeping trim, you supposedly live longer, we just think, we just jump on these things like Zone 2, the whole 60 to 70% of your heart rate, max heart rate, and staying at that for three hours a week, 45 minutes at a time, whatever regimen that you think is the best Zone 2 thing to have you live longer. Because when you get out of Zone 2, if you go into Zone 3, more glucose is being taken, and hey, muscle is starting to waste away. I don't think we have the capability to take blood samples and biopsies and to determine if fat is being used versus muscle versus how much water you're losing and whatnot. We aren't that smart yet, because I've seen the way studies are done and how they take samples and whatnot, and there's holes. All I get is just this sense of holes. Name some. Well, imagine taking a biopsy in the muscles that you're actually working. Well, you can't. You've done an effort. You've done a 40-minute effort. Take a biopsy. Well, you know, the scientist, the tech, has it already to do the biopsy specimen, and you've stopped. And for some people, not, you know, particularly the fit ones, your recovery comes, your heart rate drops much faster than someone that's a bit more sedentary, and their heart rate is maintained at a higher level. So that's just a quick example. Once you stop, because you have to stop to get a biopsy, you can't just stick a needle in action. I guess some smart aleck will collect one day, but none of the studies, the very few that I've seen, there's none of that. It's just blood test, a few biopsies here and there, and it's some aren't even exercise based. It's 3 months after an exercise regime has started, that sort of thing. So yeah, there is holes everywhere, and this whole idea of 60 to 70% of your heart rate, of your max heart rate. If you're a 50-year-old, well, 51 I am, and you need to determine what your max heart rate is, you can't just rely on 220 minus your age, which would put me at around 169. I'm sure I can get my heart rate up to 180 plus, even in my advancing age. So using those formulas are quite pie in the sky. You could be many multiples of percent out. You could be 10% out, and 10% puts you into zone 3, right? Also, on the lower side, you go into zone 1, and it's like, why are you even climbing those stairs or doing the bike or on the treadmill doing your zone 2? And that's 60 to 70% of max heart rate. So that would put me 70%. Anyway, 110 or so, just a quick at the upper end. There's drift, particularly me being quite sedentary. At the end of 30, 40 minutes, I'm going to be drifting higher, and your activity level could drop markedly. You could be sort of light jogging to just a walk to maintain, just say 110 heart rate. So it's not a fixation for many, but a fixation for the researchers. For the many researchers is quite many, and a lot of the researchers are in that age category, 40, 50, 60-year-olds, and I'm just trying to think of examples back in the 70s, 80s, 90s of there was no real longevity reference, but there was longevity thoughts, and which weren't really exercise based. Oh yeah, they were still very exercise based, but they were very cholesterol related, Mediterranean diet related, less fat the better. And then all of a sudden we've gone to adequate levels of fat is good, is better than no fat, because we need cholesterol for brain and hormone health, for starters, and for the rest of your physiology. So you see how we're bouncing, we're stabbing in the dark through the ages. There was the 70s and 80s marathon running craze. It's still a bit of a craze, fun runs and whatnot. The last time I went to see a fun run, not to participate, I went to have a bit of a bo peep because I used to be a triathlete. And in my 15 years of being a triathlete, I've probably decreased my my top end age, because there would have been a lot of many years of micronutrient deficiencies lost through my sweat because I never supplemented. And I supplemented with pizza, ice cream, and crisps, burgers, you name it. The whole processed foods complex, the junk food complex. And it wasn't pretty. I would be yo-yoing my weight race day. there was never really an off season for me. I used to do duathlons and fun runs in the marathons too. Well, one marathon, but half marathon events and that sort of thing. And yeah, I've probably cut my top end life expectancy. Your body does have the tendency, it wants to heal, recuperate, and then to get on with living as long as it is able, if you allow it. And by us allowing more exercise is better. No, I'm not going to even say I don't think so. No. If you're not supplementing and you're still doing cardio, and you got that sweat going, you're still going to only reach a maxing out functional age of 80. But that's normal. That's good. We should be 100 plus, 120 plus. There's this talk about escape velocity, usually referenced by Dave Osprey out there in the longevity crowd. He's doing okay. He's doing quite okay. Is he mid 60s? Something like that. He lost his hair and he's going grey, but he still says that he's 6% body fat and he's doing this and doing that. He's in the whole biohacking thing. Biohacking and basically testing out things and then wanting to live longer. That's not the best recipe. You got the whole Brian Johnsons of the world spending what is it, $2 million a year on the most measured person in history, measuring erections at night and all that sort of thing. What's that got to do with? Well, functionality, yeah. Skin, like, why are you working on your skin to live longer? Like, that's just more of a vanity project, isn't it? Making sure that you clean your skin. If you look young, therefore you'll live longer. No. It sounds silly, right? Yeah. So this whole fixation of activity equals weight loss or maintenance of weight, it's got to be good. No, it's not good. Exercise produces sweat, and sweat leaches the micronutrients that were heading for your cells and tissues and cells. Well, cells. And over time, you're just going to age normally as a sedentary person. In a lot of cases, if you exercise a lot, sweat a lot without the proper supplementing, you'll just age like the couch-sitting, Cheeto-eating smoker watching Netflix. You will. And I've seen some examples of triathletes I used to run up against, compete against, being mates and whatnot, and they're not looking very pretty in this sort of around the age group, particularly that I'm in. Being in the 50s now, most of them are graying like big time. I'm graying because, particularly if I grew a beard, I'd be showing some grey. Because, hey, let's face it, 4 decades of very, very poor diet, being obese, and I've just had 4 decades of being micronutrient deficient, and I've probably hampered my top end longevity, but I've certainly improved my longevity from my statistical death age of, say, 63, what I was going for, and now probably heading for my 90s. I could have got to 120 if I started in my 20s by cutting out glutens, oils, sugars, nitrates, nitrites, and bringing in those 4 categories of micronutrients. This is the whole 44 for those one-off listeners. The whole Health 44 is what I just explained quickly in about 2.2 seconds, where basically 90% of the supermarket is cut out. It's elimination that I advocate for, eliminating the gluten, oils, sugars, nitrates, nitrites. That's the first 4 to 44 we take out of our diet, and we bring in the 4 classes of micronutrients. There's 90 declared essential micronutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 essential fatty acids. Then you will add decades to your life. Decades of health span. There is a bit of a difference in health span and longevity. If you're looking at longevity and your health span is already cracking at the seams in your 60s, you can keep a brain alive for much longer. But this song comes to mind. I used to run, ride, fuck, fight, push about, ride a bike, just don't do it no more. And the way I remember that, and the way I can spit it out like that, it's amazing. But yeah, I'd like to do all those things into my 80s and 90s. Hopefully 100 plus if I keep coming across the right things to do. And that's the right thing to do, is doing the Health 44. And exercise, it doesn't, it's a 1%er. If you're not getting enough minerals especially, which we aren't, we need to supplement, then no matter what sort of exercise you do, which includes the zone 2, which increases our longevity, don't know about that. We've only been fixated in the last 5 years especially, with the studies coming out and whatnot. They've done research on the skiing twins. Are they Dutch? Anyway, no. One of the twins was a skier, a ultra athlete, and one was sedentary. And there was some difference. Not that much difference though. There was some difference in the muscle mass of the active one and the sedentary one. Active one, yes, a bit more muscle, but it wasn't marked. It wasn't massive. I'd like to know the difference in using those twins, like to see where they end up, at what age of death those twins get at. If the difference is 20 years, the sample of one set of twins is quite marked. But if the difference is 3 years, I'd be saying shut up with all your thoughts on exercise and longevity. Oh, but he was in an accident and well, that's why the sample of one isn't that crash hot, and it's pretty hard to get twins that have that difference in sedentary and activity levels. So if you can get at least a dozen of zone 2 twins versus couch sitting, Netflix watching twins, one twin being the active and the non-active, the sedentary, then that'll be much better. You won't get 2,000, which will be like a 99.7% correlation. But we need to get into double figures. We need to get 10 or 20. Okay. But that one very profound study. Let's see how we go. If there's 5 years difference, how was the final 5 years of the active one? Was it healthful or was it not quite functional? Yeah. So there's a lot of things to consider. So starting to sum up with my starting in all these different areas diatribe like I usually do. I get it. That's why there's not much following. But if we fixate on exercise without notice or understanding micronutrients, the results won't be of any significance. If we had a study of the active twin supplementing the 90 essential micronutrients, not eating gluten, digesting well by increasing salt intake, having dependable daily supply and going off gluten to absorb, versus the couch sitting, Cheeto eating, smoking, Netflix watching twin. And then we get like a 30-year difference. That would be fantastic, but we're only fixating on activity level, and the difference won't be 30 years, it will be probably 3 years. So that's my take on zone 2, and even considering the whole exercising and resistance training complex. There's not much more sweat in resistance training. That's why it's very hard to measure. But muscle mass, there's this whole, that's going to be another episode, there's this whole movement towards maintaining or increasing muscle mass for longevity. And we got the zone 2 crowd, then we got the resistance training, protein intake, and resistance training muscle building crowd. Gee, that's going to be a bit of a mouthful as a title. How will I summarize that one? Anyway, so there you have it. We're just stepping in the dark once again if we don't incorporate micronutrients in longevity. Okay, so I will end it there. Thanks for your interest, and come back again.